Me, this would be the start of a cavalcade of points for the Lions. They're up 17-13. What happened here, Coach?
Well, let me tell you what. When you're ahead in a football game and you're throwing the ball at the end of the game, you can't run it. You rush the ball 22 times for a 3.1 yard average, and you throw it 52 times for a 4.0 yard average. Run the ball every down.
That would be a very good point. Again, this bounces off the bands of Bruce and Mohamed. And then fourth quarter, 1st and 5. Greasy, incomplete pass there. As you take another look, Greasy had 52 attempts, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. On Monday, Lovey questions about the offense.
How involved are you in the offense in terms of preparation and everything that goes into it?
I'm the head football coach. I try to be involved in everything.
Would you consider bringing in a consultant to
No,
help with the offense?
absolutely not. No. Next question.
Okay, that idea is not going to work.
Next question is good.
We've heard it before from Drew Rosenhaus, I think. Here's the good news. They still have Devin Hester, Mark, and he is a special player. Why not one more time from the 3, and they're not gonna get him.
You ought to keep your eye on this kid. I think he might make something of himself in this return game. I just have a hunch.
Has some potential?
Yeah, he's got potential.
That put him up 20-17, his second of the season. And look at the lane he sees.
And not only the lane, man, he's got great vision, but you know what I love about this kid? He attacks it. He's one cut down the hill, attacks it, sees it, breaks it off, and you see everybody chasing down there because they know what a special guy they have behind him. Everybody's excited.
Well, here's what I can't figure out. Okay, Devin Hester, technically not an offensive player. 8th touchdown on Sunday, all of them via return. He scored more touchdowns over the last 2 seasons than anyone on the Bears' current roster, and technically, he's not a member of the offense. Okay, the other issue here with the Lions in the 4th quarter and all the silly things that went on there. John Kitna and Detroit trying to get things going, and again, early in the 4th, the Lions were down 13-3. Sean McDonald in the spot shadow, lines up as the back. Triple formation. He's able to get off the line and get open for the touchdown. So the Lions now down 13-10. This kid, Mike Furry's pretty good, Merrill.
What is it that Detroit does so well? They throw the football. And I think one kid, does a very good job. He throws it to an area, which Mike Martz does like doing his pass. Throw it to an area, and our wide receivers will show up.
Merle, they only threw it 34 times. The Bears threw it 52.
I was hoping you were going to get there.
And there's Troy Walters with a great toe tap in the end zone as it continues to pile on.
And
a
it's
little
this
power.
big.
Whoa!
Detroit running it.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Detroit goes up 30-20, and then it got silly. Late in the 4th, it's down to a 3-point game. They try the onside kick. Casey Fitzsimmons says, thank you very much. And this is significant because with this touchdown, the Lions score 34 points in the game's final quarter. That's the most anyone has ever scored in the 4th quarter in the history of the NFL. And that leads us to the John Kitna win meter or winzometer. Remember, Kitna predicted before the season that the Lions would win 10 games in 2007. So far, they've busted out 3-1. They're on pace to win 12. So John Kitna, so far, backing it up. All right, lots to discuss here. Let us first and foremost begin with Brian Griese's first outing at quarterback. Mike, they can't go back and forth, right? They've got to sort of stay with Griese for a while here, don't they?
Well, I think they will stay with Griese for a while, but you're looking at it here. You got to understand one thing. Why'd they switch? They wanted to manage the football game. Didn't want to turn the football over. The last time that the other kid played, I can't think
Rex
of his name.
Grossman.
Grossman played 3 interceptions. This guy, 3 interceptions. Bad throws, bad decisions. I mean, and why even be throwing the ball in that situation? That's what I want to know. Why not pound it in there? Why not say to your running back, hey, I'm going to hand you the ball. Let me see you stick your nose in there once in a while.
Well, maybe that is the problem. They're not getting that, Merrill. They're not getting that from this guy.
You know, if there should be any motivation in that game, is you should have been looking on the other side watching Detroit. Why? Detroit never runs the football.
Nope.
In fact, Detroit, they can't run the football until they lined up on Sunday and they said, you know what, we're going to run the football right at the Chicago Bears that are supposed to be outstanding at defending the run. So I guess it poses a bunch of problems where you see them right there, Sting.
Yeah.
The defensive line for the Chicago Bears is struggling, stopping the run, getting pressure. and their offensive line gets no movement whatsoever in the running game.
This was an offensive line that used to just maul people. We're going to go out, we're going to maul people. We're one-dimensional. You know we're one-dimensional, but we're still going to cram it down your throat. And some of it goes to the organization. Thomas Jones, we're just going to give him away to the Jets for nothing. Go ahead, give him away, because we believe that Cedric Benson has got to get it done. It's his time. Well, I'm going to tell you something right now. Cedric Benson is not running like he should be running. He looks old. He does not look like he's attacking people. One hit, he goes down. If that's the case, you made the switch at running back. You made the switch at quarterback, Rex Grossman to Brian Griese. Maybe it's time to take Adrian Peterson off that bench and start him in place of Cedric Benson if Cedric Benson's going to lay it on the ground and if he's not going to run hard.
But if you do that, then you say you failed in the front office because you drafted him with the fourth pick in the first round. So you failed. And that's what this thing comes down to. There's a lot of egos you got to feed up there on top. And then that's what happened. Well, we drafted him. We got to play him.
Well, then you know what?
That's one of the reasons they made the trade.
Let them go out and play.
That's one of the reasons they traded Thomas Jones to begin with. And you know, you got to give Detroit a little bit of credit here. I mean, they got waxed in that game in Philadelphia. They come back with a very strong game. They go to Washington next, but the Bears are in real trouble. Then again, so are the San Diego Chargers, ladies and gentlemen. It's like we planned it that way. San Diego back at home trying to get things going. LaDainian Tomlinson, hey, this was going to be the breakout day against Kansas City. He's owned KC.
It started that way.
And looked great. That's LT. That's vintage 21. Up for a 5-yard touchdown, his second rushing touchdown of the season, 10-0. Later in the second quarter, Tomlinson goes left, slops right, 37 yards. Show me a fact bar right about now. Tomlinson had 14 rushes, 116 yards, and a touchdown in the first half. So it was all going great in the first half. And then they played the second half, and nothing went as planned. Chargers leading 16-9. Phillip Rivers thought he was going to LT here. Derek Johnson got in the way, one of 2 picks in the game for Rivers. And then it all just fell apart late. Fourth quarter, Chargers down 23-16, 3rd and 8. Rivers under pressure. Sacked by Derek Johnson, and Tyron Brackenridge picks up the fumble, and, well, he's not going to be stopped. Taking it 50 yards the other way, Chiefs go up 30-16, 24 unanswered points in the second half. Late fourth quarter, Chargers driving, 1st and goal. Darren Sproles in the game at running back for LaDainian Tomlinson. Why? Why? Why, Mark? Why?
Because we're going to throw it out of bounds. It's a plan right there.
Okay, 2nd and goal again. LT's bottom of your screen.
Empty, you know what? Empty the backfield. That way there's no threat of run with Phillip Rivers. Good thinking right there. That's great coaching.
Okay, so they still haven't given it to LT. Now 3rd and goal. There's Tomlinson at running back. Rivers. He's looking right at him. And there seems to be yardage there.
Yeah.
And they don't. What are you doing? Where are you going? And then the next play, 4th and goal. One more time. Didn't LT set a record last year? Most touchdowns in a single season?
He did.
Okay.
But you don't want to break it this year.
No, he's blocking. He's a very good blocker. We'll give him credit for that. But the Chargers lose the game. LT and Norv real frustrated.
I understand the responsibility of the job I have, and I'm ultimately the one who's responsible. So it's my job to get the things done we're talking about. The inconsistencies, the problems we're having with turnovers, giving up plays. That's what I've got to do. I've got to get those things eliminated.
All right, let's go inside the numbers. Chargers off to a hot start, especially from their defense. They allowed under 10 points per game in the first 4 contests in 2006. Through the same point this year, much different story. They've allowed 30 points in 3 straight, and LT is averaging just over 65 rushing yards per contest. Look, I won't pretend to know as much as Norv Turner about football here, okay? But LT was working it, Mike. Everything was going great in the first half, and only 6 carries in the second half.
Sounds good, smells bad. That's all I can say. Sounds good, smells bad. What Norb said, hey, listen, you got the lead in the football game. Your running back is the most valuable player in the league. He's averaging over 6 yards a carry in his football game. And you quit giving him the football. You decided to start throwing it out of bounds into some guys I never heard of. Come on, that's your fault. That game should have never been lost. You had it won, you gave it away by not sticking to your game plan of pounding the football without.
But guys, what's really interesting here, this is the exact same thing that happened in the second half of the playoff game last year for the Chargers against the Patriots, and that was a different coaching staff. Why do they forget about the best player in football?
Here's the interesting thing. You know, everybody bashed on Marty Schottenheimer. Oh, Marty balled this, Marty balled that. Marty took himself out of that situation and said, you, Cam Cameron, you can call the offense. It happened to them in the playoffs. They forgot about LT late in that game. They ended up losing that game, and they ended up losing this game the exact same way. To have LT in your backfield and to give him the ball 6 times, I don't, and especially when he's actually running it.
Where did all of these problems begin? They went a couple months after the season was over, and a guy named A.J. Smith,
General manager
From Rhode
decided
Island.
to get rid of the coach and change everything but the players and assume that they're still going to be fine because he's going to do things a little
Well,
different.
here's where you're wrong. It wasn't 2 months after the end of the season he decided to get rid of the coach. He decided to get rid of the coach during the season. The decision came after
Later.
the season.
Well,
Yeah.
see, ultimately, North Turner's taking the heat right
Well,
now.
that's a
Rightfully
question,
so,
right.
he should be right now. But the guy that needs some heat in this one is A.J. Smith as well.
Lot of heat.
Because, you know what? He turned this organization upside down and all around with all these players and what they're doing now. It's got to go on somebody's head aside from North Turner, and it's got to go to A.J. Smith.
Real quickly, think about being in the locker room, you guys. Think about the difference between downstairs and upstairs. And if you're downstairs right now and you had the success you had last year under Marty Schottenheimer, you love Marty Schottenheimer, you love what he brought to that organization, you're sitting there scratching your head going, why is LT only getting the ball 6 times? What's going on? I don't like this technique we're
The
playing. I
doubt
don't
begins
like
to come in?
The doubt starts to seep in that locker room, and they're going to be looking right upstairs to that coaching staff going, I don't trust these guys.
Well, last year, what was the problem? Downstairs and upstairs, there was no communication. None. They didn't talk.
Yeah,
There was
between AJ and-
how
between
can
AJ
you
and
do
Marty,
That? You're
yeah.
the head coach. He's my general manager. You got to be on a day-to-day talking basis. Everybody doing things to make the team better.
But really quick, LT loved Marty Schottenheimer.
Well, that's the
LT
thing.
loved him, and he's the guy that's most upset right now.
A.J. Smith had to sell LT. This was the right move. Clearly, so far,
working.
it's not. San Diego 1-3 right now. A huge game coming up next weekend at Denver. The only good news is nobody's running away in the AFC West.
Right.
Lots more coming on primetime. The Rams, hey, they showed up in Dallas, but once again forgot how to tackle Tony Romo on a 3rd and 3. And both the Giants and Eagles started this season 0-2, yet Sunday night, one team looked like it was going in the right direction, and one team looked like a turnstile at left tackle. We'll let you be the judge.
Antonio in Cincinnati with your Teams at 20 update. Let's look at the New England Patriots defense. When Rodney Harrison was suspended and Richard Seymour went out with an injury, everybody thought, oh my gosh, what's going to happen to that Patriots D? Well, they've responded by giving up just 11.5 points per game going into week 4, the #1 D in the league. The reason on the defensive line, Vince Wilfork's play. Wilfork still at 325 pounds, but he lost about 30 pounds since the summer, mostly due to diet. He said, I was worried by losing 20 to 30 pounds. Will I still be strong? And the answer, he said, is I'm strong because I've got more energy. Tonight, the question is, will he play against the Cincinnati Bengals, Trey? He has a banged-up shoulder. He's been limited in practice. He will be a game-time decision.
Play.
Packers, Vikings, all hail number 4. This quarterback Brett Favre entered Sunday's game, tied with Dan Marino, 420 career touchdown passes. First quarter of this game is scoreless. Packers on the 46. Brett Favre launching one 27 yards. Look into double coverage. Come on. Out of bounds at the Minnesota 19.
It's okay if you put it right where it needs to be.
Right on the money. Look at this. Little step and fire the slant to Greg Jennings. And there it is, the record-setting pass, 421 passing Dan Marino. His wife, Deanna, looking on. One more time, Favre celebrates. And this was a classic Favre throw, wasn't it? Just boom,
I mean,
right
he
over the
came
middle.
right out of his shoes throwing that thing. 100-mile-an-hour fastball. Nobody does it better than Brett Favre.
And I tell you what, he's still got a cannon for an arm, approaching 38. Packers in their own zone on the 20 in the second. Favre to Greg Jennings. There's another. It's a taser shot.
Yeah.
He's down at the 42.
I thought laser, but
Either, you know what? Whatever's really strong.
that one's a laser.
Yeah, this
and
one's
that
a
one's
taser.
That was touch to it.
Touch.
Donald Driver
Exactly.
led to a field goal, made it 10-6 at the half. Third quarter, 10-6, 3rd and 11 near midfield. Russell Martin. Who? Russell Martin. He's throwing it to everybody, and Russell bending back for the catch. All right, fourth quarter now, 16-9, 3rd and 9, and this is classic Favre again.
Here is your taser.
Pump fake.
Yep. Boom, and then right down
Oh,
the sideline.
right on the
only where
money.
wide
Most
receiver
guys
can
pump
make it.
fake like that, their shoulder comes out of joint.
Not him. His shoulder's perfectly intact. James Jones on that one. Packers win it 23-16. Favre, 32 of 45, 344 yards, 2 touchdowns. He gets the record, but most importantly, the Packers win the game. Let's just say it was another great Sunday for Brett.
Dan Marino has been a hero and a role model for me, and that will never change. just because I passed him in numbers. I never consider myself in the same league as him. And I don't think that will ever change. I don't feel like right now I've established myself as the best player to ever play this game or position. That, you know, I still feel like those guys paved the way. Dan Marino was a great passer, will continue to be a great passer. It's just a number. And am I proud? Absolutely. I'm more proud of the fact that we won this game. I'm pleased it's over. I'm honored. I think it's to play this long, I think, is a special thing, and to achieve those is very special. But you know, we're 4-0. That's the biggest story here.
You know, channeling our inner Herm Edwards here, you play to win the game. And that's exactly what the Packers have done this season. They are 4-0. Everybody looking up at them in the NFC North. And for maybe all the records, Brett Favre has more wins as a starting quarterback than anybody else. Forget the touchdown record. That'd be the most telling stat when you look at Brett Favre's long career. All right, let's move on. Rams, Cowboys, Tony Romo, El Bueno. More than 800 passing yards this season, but you know, he's very athletic. He can run a little bit. Middle of the second quarter, Romo back to pass. Well, no one's open. No one's open. No one's open. Patrick Creighton, you're going to get open. Moves to find time in the pocket. That led to a Julius Jones touchdown. Cowboys up 7-0. And then the signature play of the season, no matter what happens.
Unbelievable.
Oh, it's a bad snap. Oh, he kicks it. Are you crazy? Fall on it. No, wait, don't fall on it. Keep running. Oh, make somebody miss. It was 3rd and 3.
And now it's...
That's a first down! And unbelievable. Mark, what does that do to the huddle for plays like that?
Anytime you have a guy like that in the huddle, Tony Romo, you know, regardless of situation, he's going to do something to bail us out. He's going to give us a chance to win. Tony Romo playing great. Look at even T.O. loves it.
Listen, what's not to love? And he finishes off the drive in style. Whoop, middle of the field wide open. Might as well score. And that was critical because that was a tight game to that point.
Yeah, I thought it was, the return was pivotal, but watch the man-to-man coverage. Tony moves up, realizes they're going to go the outside, and give me an alley that big. Easy decision.
And once they got the lead, boy, they poured it on in the third quarter. Romo flares it out in a taser shot or a laser shot to Patrick Creighton. Hey, coach, look at this. T.O. running downfield to block somebody.
Now, this is a big play. A lot of effort there. You got to admire him for doing that.
Yes, sir.
Don't push him out. Just get there.
Yeah, Patrick Creighton goes in 21-7. You want more Creighton? I got your more Creighton right here. That is a beautiful throw. Creighton, 7 catches, 184 yards, 2 touchdowns. Romo and the air attack got it done as they win 35-7. The Cowboys have scored 30 points in each of their first 4 games. They're just the 5th team in the last 20 seasons to go there. Good news for Dallas as well. 3 of the teams on this list eventually reached the Super Bowl. And then there was the other side for the Cowboys, which was the defense, strong for the 2nd straight game. How much do we like where DeMarcus Ware is right now?
I like where he is. I like the matchups that you get. I mean, if you're going to try to block him with the tight end, and you're going to take some time, he's eventually going to get there.
Mark, he splits a double team here.
Yeah, you know, you got to understand the backup lineman, but relentless. You know, you get double teamed. A lot of guys just quit, try to bat down the ball, not DeMarcus Ware. He's going to keep coming. Then, as Merrill said, put a tight end on him. Come on, that's a mismatch.
You got to put a tight end, and the guy's got to sink his butt and pop him a little bit.
And then more good news. Greg Ellis makes his first appearance of the season in this game, gets a sack. Everything going well for the Cowboys. They move to 4-0 again, 35-7, the final score. Okay, we know that the Colts are good. We know that the Patriots are good. We believe most good teams in the AFC are better than most good teams in the NFC, except for the Dallas Cowboys. How good are they when you stack them up against the best 2 teams, arguably in football right now, the Patriots and the Colts?
Well, I still think they got a ways to go. You know, the one thing that they haven't played any really outstanding teams, but one thing they have done, they have blown those teams out. And that's what good teams do. If you're better than their talent, you blow them out. And that's what they have done. Tony Romo has been special. I mean, everybody's talked about, you know, the comparison to Favre. I even look at him a little bit like Tom Brady, the way he moves inside the pocket. The one thing that strikes me is they come out, they get points, they strike quick, and then they finish off their running game. It kind of reminds me of the Cowboys of old. That's how they'd do it. Aikman would come out, get ahead, and then Emmett would finish you off.
Well, this is a good football team, and by far right now, I think they're the best team in the NFC. But I tell you, there's 2 other teams creeping up, I think. One is Tampa Bay and one is Seattle. They're starting to impress me with what they're doing on the defensive side of the ball. This team is complete balance, though. Offense, defense, special. That's all you're looking for.
The thing I love about the Dallas Cowboys is once they do score, and they have the ability to score and score a lot of points and be very dynamic, once they do that, they bring in the finisher, and that is Marion Barber.
Right.
He is going to finish games. He's going to shorten games, not like San Diego where they forget to run LaDainian Tomlinson at the end of the games. They get a lead. They're 16-6 in the third quarter on you, and I promise you, the Dallas Cowboys are going to finish the game, and you've got to give them credit for understanding who they are and what they're trying to accomplish.
Couple of good omens here for the Cowboys, if you believe in this stuff. 4-0 start, first time since '95. That year they won the Super Bowl. That year the Super Bowl was in the Phoenix area. This year the Super Bowl is in the greater Phoenix area. If you believe in that stuff, if you're a Cowboy fan, it makes you feel a little better. All right, as for the teams trying to chase them in the NFC East, Sunday night game, Giants, Eagles at the Meadowlands. Let's just say this was the Pro Bowl ticket for OCU Manura, Mark Schler.
He can just go. He can go straight. He doesn't even have to play the rest of the games. Go to Hawaii. Wait, we'll be there in end of February sometime. OCU Manura all over the place, and that defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo did a great job of moving him around and creating matchup issues.
You bring me inside, I will go to the outside. Aha!
And you will get no help down there, which the Eagles did never do.
Yeah, and you guys made a great point earlier. The reason for this, there was nowhere to throw the football.
Yeah.
I mean, he couldn't get rid of it early. You're right. They jabbed those receivers.
And Winston Justice, there was no justice for what he did to Donovan McNabb on this game.
And poor kid, you know what? I mean, young kid getting his first start. I'm upset with the offense, and I'm upset with the offensive coordinator. Listen, that kid, how many sacks do you have to give up? 3, 4, 5? Apparently 6 isn't enough to get some help over there. 8 sacks, then we give you some help, but we're not going to give you any help till you get 8 sacks.
Well, since sacks were an official stat in '82, UManura's 6 sacks tied for the second most in a single game in NFL history. Only Derek Thomas's 7 against the Seahawks in 1990 tops OC's performance. But it's not like he was the only defensive star for the New York Giants. UManura had his day. Justin Tuck had a great day.
Justin Tuck on the inside, and again, look at what they're doing. They're taking defensive ends, lining them up over the guards as defensive tackles. They're creating mismatch. They're creating opportunities for their guys. Very difficult for an offensive lineman who hasn't studied an outside guy when he comes on the inside.
And then Michael Strahan comes around the outside. That passes Lawrence Taylor for the most sacks in Giants history, 133.5. And then Matthias Kiwanuka getting into the action as well.
Let me make one point. If you take a defensive end and pull him over my offensive guards, I'm going to run the ball right down your throat.
Thank you.
You may stop me, you may not stop me, but I'm going to run the ball right down your throat. You think I wouldn't like to see Strahan at guard and it's over my, come on.
That's a big reason why, because Brian Westbrook didn't play in this game. Correll Buckhalter had over 100 yards, but Westbrook gives him a different option. Okay, speaking of different, how about the Giants' defense turnaround in their last 6 quarters? They've allowed just a field goal, picked up 14 sacks. Again, 12 in one game.
Wow.
In the first 10 quarters, they allowed 87 points and almost 7 yards a play. All right, lots more coming on this edition of NFL Primetime. The Denver Broncos back into their own personal house of horrors. Would this be the time they finally turn back the Colts? Survey says I doubt it. And sometimes, rarely, 2 quarterbacks are better than one. Whatever the reason, it's working in Arizona. We'll take you there. Primetime continues. Denver at Indy. The last 3 times they've played him, it's kind of been like Tiger Woods on a par 5. It's not a fair fight. Oh, by the way, Tony Dungy, 17-2 in September as the Colts head coach. Is that any good, Mike?
Unbelievable.
First
Nobody in the history of the game's done that.
Colts down 10-0, and a scary moment here. Joseph Adai carries for 3 yards, but the issue is the man trying to block on the play, Marvin Harrison, wide receiver. He went down, got rolled up by his own guy who pushed the linebacker into him. He would return briefly before leaving the game for good. So with Marvin out, well, where's Peyton going to go? You know what? He's going to go wherever he wants. And on this day, Merrill, it was Dallas Clark.
Yeah, and I thought Dallas Clark really was the favorable matchup against the Denver Broncos because of their linebackers. They're fast, but not very good cover guys.
Well, and that one, nobody covered him, and a great catch by Clark to get his hand under that. And remember that 10-0 lead for the Broncos? That made it 14-13. And then after that, it was really, we will dominate you, and there's nothing you can do about it. They have Clark lined up on the outside here.
Dallas on the outside, and that's what makes him, I think, very special. You can line him up on the outside, and you're going to still win whoever goes out there and covers him.
Well, again, what you're looking at, 2 tight end formations, so all of a sudden you're getting heavier packages in there. The defense thinks, oh, are you going to run it? No. We're still throwing it out of the two tight end package.
Brian Fletcher for 21 more yards and another first down. And then Ian Gold on Dallas Clark. Is that a good matchup?
Well, this is the matchup that you like. You make Ian Gold come outside the box where he's not comfortable, and Dallas very comfortable based on that route and catch.
Another touchdown. Now they came back to pull it within 8, and then how does he go to work on Champ Bailey with
Why
Dallas
not?
Clark?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not, man? Peyton Manning doing a great job of pump faking.
Again, we're channeling our Herm Edwards. Why not? And then Reggie Wayne, he's still in the game.
Oh, we forgot we still had that guy.
Yeah, he's all right, too.
He's okay.
38-20. Now, look, ways to go here, but let's compare Manning now to where Favre was at a comparable time through the 148 games. Look at the numbers for Manning as opposed to Favre. And Favre's going to have all the records by the time it's all said and done. In every statistical category, Peyton Manning is better right now than Favre was at this time. Scary thoughts there. Meanwhile, Steelers, Cardinals, Willie Parker came into Sunday's NFL's leading rusher, but Ken Wisner, he used to coach with the Steelers, and now he knew how to attack this team.
Well, one thing, I think he understood their formations and he understood their weaknesses because there were so many times, Coach, that they had people, free defenders coming through there on the running game.
It's a great job of coaching, but it's a great job of motivating these guys to get them ready to go out there and play hard-nosed, in-your-face football.
Well, you could tell. Ken Wisman said after the game, this one meant a lot to me. He thought he was going to get the job in Pittsburgh, and he didn't. And late in the game, they stuffed him on the goal line right there, and they couldn't get in. Now, clearly there was no Hines Ward. That hurt Ben Roethlisberger. But you know what, Mark? They did a great job of getting to Ben.
A lot of pressure, a lot of blitz, and that front four really controlled the line of scrimmage. I mean, you saw them on the snap count just flat getting after the ball and getting after the quarterback and pressuring right off the bat very quick. And here you see them dropping late in the game, just trying to create tough throws.
Yeah, it just seemed like he was never comfortable, and this may be the play that changed the game right there. They got it deep in their own territory. He throws an interception, and then one more time late, they're down 21-14. I mean, the good news for the Steelers, they did convert a 3rd and 26 for a touchdown, but that was it. Roethlisberger picked twice, sacked 4 times. Cardinals come up with a huge win. Ravens and Browns, and we might have something brewing here with the way things have gone for Cleveland. Not so much for Brian Billick. I thought defense was supposed to be their strength, Mark.
Yeah, you know what, it is. But right now, before our eyes, this team looks like it's getting old all of a sudden. I mean, they look tired. They look like they've been on the field too much. They can't get off, and they're not making the plays they used to make.
Derek Anderson to Braylon Edwards right there.
I read the press clip.
Yeah, and here you see him just biting on that move. Braylon Edwards going right by him, and that's a huge combination right there between Anderson to Braylon Edwards.
And then, again, Anderson passes to Kellen Winslow. And
that's a great throw right there.
That's a terrific throw.
It's Winslow turning and making a super catch.
That #1 pick they gave to Brady Quinn, I'm not so sure that he's going to be seeing the field anytime soon with the way Derek Anderson is going. And then the offense really struggling. Steve McNair never seemed like he got into a rhythm in this game.
You know what? Their offense is not explosive. And we talk about, Sneak, you said they're getting old in front of our eyes. Mac 9, his best days are behind him. He's a shell of himself. He doesn't do anything from the ground anymore, therefore, not quite the quarterback he used to be.
Ravens lose it 27-13. Cleveland is rolling. Still ahead on NFL Primetime. Seattle would like to remind everyone that they're still the team to beat in the NFC West. Just ask San Francisco. Stay with us.
Primetime, I'm Bob Holtzman in Cincinnati with a Teams at 20 update. Running back Kenny Watson will start tonight for the first time in 5 years, and Carson Palmer told me he couldn't be more excited. Palmer lobbied hard for the Bengals to re-sign Watson during the offseason, and Palmer says for the past few years, this team has continuously tried to replace Watson, first re-signing Rudy Johnson, then drafting Chris Perry and Kenny Irons. Palmer says every time Watson's attitude is, that's fine, I'll compete. Watson will bring a lot of versatility tonight. He's very fast and has great hands. Actually played wide receiver in college at Penn State. Palmer told me they actually have a few plays in tonight, Trey, where they will line up Watson at wideout.
All right, Bobby, thanks. And there is the Tony Kornheiser bus arriving in Cincinnati. Yeah, he gets a very nice bus. You know what they gave me? They gave me a bike. Pats and Bengals, Monday Night Football, right here on ESPN.
2 more wheels than they gave me.
We continue here on NFL Primetime. Texans at Atlanta, which means Matt Schaub back against the team he used to play for. And tell you what, Matt Schaub did his part. First quarter, Texans down 3-0. And on this play, quite frankly, Andre Davis did his part. It's a great throw. How do you make that catch? How do you make that catch?
You go for it, and you're determined to get it, and then you catch it.
Well, thanks,
Apparently
Merrill.
Ty goes to the receiver. Huh?
Absolutely.
Well, Matt Schaub, look, he did great here. Second quarter, driving down the field to Jameel Cook later in the drive, looking for Kevin Walter over the middle.
Get the ball out of his hands versus blitz.
Hard to sack a guy like that.
Led to a field goal before the first half. Third quarter, Houston down 23-13. Schaub, one more. Andre Davis. Apparently, all Matt Schaub needs is an Andre. Andre Johnson, Andre Davis. It really doesn't matter.
Having Andre Johnson would help this team.
Good arm.
Schaub, 28 of 40, 317 yards and 1 touchdown. He was good, but for the second straight game, Joey Harrington was really good.
You know, you could say spectacular, actually. He has been terrific.
7-yard touchdown pass to Michael Jenkins. It was 17-7 Atlanta. Third quarter, it's 20-13 Atlanta. Harrington, that's a tough throw across his body to Roddy White heading to the sidelines. 22-yard gain, and that's not easy.
Yeah, watch. He's moving to his left. He's a right-handed quarterback.
People forget that. He played pretty good in college. He's had a bad pro career. Maybe Bobby Patino's the answer. Who knows?
Well, they gave him a game ball after this one. Third quarter, 3rd and 26.
Laser.
We all got that one, or a taser. Either way, gets him in field goal range.
It's there.
Harrington, 23 of 29. As they go on to win that game. Either way. All right, so Seahawks, 49ers. Alex Smith early in the game. The reason why I say that was early, because this also happened early in the game. Rocky Bernard is going to sit on him. Oh, that is going to hurt a lot. Smith would not return, separated shoulder, out for this Sunday's game against the Ravens. He will not need surgery, though. That's the good news. Trent Dilfer in, and if you don't block Julian Peterson, Mark, he's going to make some play.
Pretty much, you know, I could make that sack right there. If you're not going to block anybody, he's got his hand in the dirt. Somebody's got to account for him. Well, let's do it again.
Well, then Patrick Kearney makes a great move.
Oh, that is a good move.
That gets to Dilfer for another sack. Again, this is like Donovan on Sunday night. You got to give the guy a chance at quarterback. And here comes Peterson again.
Yeah, not blocked again. And that's Jonas Jennings. Pick one. Pick either the inside guy or the outside guy to give your back a read, but take somebody. Don't put your hand on both of them. It looks like you're sneaking up on people. I can see you. You weigh 400 pounds.
Who are you going to block? 96 or 24? You got to block 24.
I'm taking the little guy, coach.
But you know what? They were supposed to take somebody. Again, nobody is the wrong option. That's another sack. Peterson, 3 of Seattle, 6 sacks. Seahawks win 23-3. Bucks, Panthers, first place showdown in the NFC South. Jeff Garcia looking to win his 4th straight start against Carolina. You know what? Jeff Garcia, kind of like Tony Romo, can make something out of nothing, Mike.
You gotta love this guy.
Well, I know John Gruden loves him. Bucks lead 7-0. Garcia 15-25, 1 rushing touchdown. Bad news for Cadillac Williams. His season is now over. Look, breaks out to the outside, but watch his right knee. Sort of falls in behind him. He is done for the year. Had to be carted off the field. However, Mark, even without him, they still ran the ball effectively.
Well, that's what they're doing right now. You see a bunch of lead stuff. You see the fullback lead. They're coming off control line of scrimmage with their double teams, and their fullback is leading up there, and they're getting positive yardage every time. Here you go again. Right there.
This is what San Diego and Chicago miss. When you got an offensive line that's blocking like that and backs that are complementing it, you allow your quarterback to have an easy day. And you get to the perimeter. Michael Pittman may be a forgotten guy, but he is one tough football player.
Well, I mean, he's still got wheels to get to the outside like that. And one more time, takes the toss, gets 11 more. Pittman, 50 carries.
Look at the yards pulling around. Get a big 300-pounder out there on a little defensive back. I love
Bucks win it 20-7. You can't figure Carolina out any season. When we return on NFL Primetime, Dante Culpepper returned, and he wanted everybody in Miami to know, my knee's fine, so is my arm. Primetime rolls on. Dante Culpepper and the Raiders making his first appearance in Miami since they let him go. And let's just say Dante was extra motivated. Third quarter, well, knee looks good there, beating everybody to the corner, and he let everybody know, hey, my knee's fine. Just so you know, this one, it's good. Raiders up 21-10. Fourth quarter, Raiders up 21-7. Culpepper can throw it. Now, he only threw it 12 times, only completed 5, but that was a pretty one to Jerry Porter. Porter, 3 catches, 52 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And oh, by the way, Culpepper one more time fakes the handoff and runs it in. 3 rushing touchdowns, 2 touchdown passes. So Dante, in the limited throwing time, did great, ran it well. And speaking of running it well,
this guy can run.
Justin Fargas, after Lamont Jordan went down with an injury, he was all over the place. This kid, by the way, the son of Antonio Fargas, who was Huggy Bear on the Starsky and Hutch show, Mike, you and I might be the only people old enough to remember that show.
This guy is a real deal. Now, he takes it north and south, and he sticks it in there. This is a good running back. Every time he stepped on the field, he's played well for the Raiders.
So the Dolphins do not back up Joey Porter's guarantee of a win, but it got us to thinking, look at the teams that had the first 5 picks in the draft this year. All of them are 500 or better. The Raiders and Lions themselves have already equaled their win totals from last season. The Browns, Bucks, and Cardinals are all playing well. As we continue here on Primetime, Coach, why do you think that is? Why are these teams that were at the bottom in 06 playing well right now?
Well, 2 of them got new coaches. You know, the Raiders and the Cardinals have new coaches. And the other players really aren't impact players right now, the #1 picks that they took. I think the reason, when I look at John Gruden down there with the Bucks, I like a lot what they're doing. I knew when Whisenhunt went out to Arizona what he was going to do. He's going to bring a Pittsburgh mentality.
Sure.
We're going to run the football whether you like it or you don't like it. We're going to run the football. But this team, the Bucks,
Tampa Bay,
they play defense. And when they get after you, they really get after you. This is a very, very solid football team. Plus, John Gruden is going to run the ball also. That works, by the way.
Yeah.
And he doesn't care that he's lost Cadillac because he's got a couple more guys named Pittman and Graham that will run the ball effectively. So this is a good team. Garcia, he made a great statement. You talk about pumping a guy up. My quarterback's a hell of a quarterback. Now, that's the greatest compliment you can give anybody. Coming from John Gruden, I like it. And if they're going to go anywhere, it's going to be on Garcia's back.
Absolutely, and that defense, while you got some older veterans there, and Barber and Derek Brooks, that kid Jermaine Phillips can absolutely flat out knock people into next week. Okay, they play a throwback style defense. They play a defense that would have been prevalent in the 70s, in the 60s when you were playing. You've also said that Brett Favre would have been a guy from this era that you would have liked to play with. Are there other guys out there besides him?
Yeah, I look at guys. You can say that about Peyton Manning. I mean, he's great. LT is special. I would have loved to play with. I look at a guy down in Arizona, you know, and a lot of people don't. I don't know what he is, a safety, linebacker, hybrid.
Adrian Wilson.
Adrian Wilson. I'll tell you one thing. He will knock the snot out of you now. You get in his way now, and they bring him. They know how to use him down there, and they're going to find more and more ways to use this guy because this guy is a real impact player on the defensive side of the ball, and he will stick his nose in there. I don't know anything about the kid except that when I watch him play, he makes things happen.
And it's funny, you know, in Arizona, everything went wrong for them for so many years, really ever since the 1947 Chicago Cardinals. They had that one freaky play against Seattle a couple weeks ago where they got a break, and it's like suddenly, hey, we can do this.
You got to put a little bit of Pittsburgh into Arizona to make it work. I'm telling you, it'll work.
Well, they have put Pittsburgh in the form of Russ Grimm, the offensive line coach, and new head coach Ken Whisenhunt. They are running the ball and running with authority, too, with Edgerrin James. When we return on this edition of NFL Primetime, time to hand out the hardware. Primetime performers for Week 4. Stay with us. Roll them out. Mark Schlereth, who are you looking at?
Well, I'm going to go to the New York Giants, O.C. Umenyior. Feel free to block this guy at any point. 6 sacks on the night, goes directly to the Pro Bowl. Go to Hawaii right now. Get on the plane, O.C. We don't need you the rest of the season. Go rest up for the Pro Bowl. You were awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
We just don't ask you to spell it.
My God, Brett Favre. 4-0 Green Bay Packers. Never has he